Tom, good to have you as always. JD Notae has had his biggest and best games against ranked opponents this season, averaging 23 points, got 16 assists, shooting 46%, and his team is 4-0. He's done it on ESPN2 against Auburn, on ESPN against Tennessee, and on CBS against Kentucky. How much praise and adulation do you think he's going to get from AP voters, maybe being a second or third team All-American this year?
Good morning, everybody. That's a good question. And he'll probably get some down-ballot stuff from voters. But unfortunately, Oscar Tshiebwe is on track to, have the first average of 15 points, 15 rebounds since I want to say it was 72 or 69. I mean, two guys did it. And so the Kentucky people, they're such snobs about this stuff that I even heard somewhere on their radio broadcast Saturday that if you don't vote for Oscar Tshiebwe for, National Player of the Year, that something's wrong with you. And so, but look, Notae's had a fantastic year. I think the really cool thing about him, or interesting, is he's got this kind of a no conscience approach. So he could miss four 3-pointers in a row, but he's still going to take the next one when he's open. And that's just a scorer mentality. And I love the way he takes people. Even, he goes up against big guy. He took Kessler all the way to the paint and had a shot that you can't even describe. It was a one-handed floating teardrop shot that he put in over him. So the kid's just been scoring all his life, and he's a big reason why the Razorbacks are in the position they're in.
Tom, I think the greatest evolution is his game, as he's really stepped up as a point guard as well. Had 8 assists. I think 5 of them came in the second half, and a couple of them down the stretch to Jaylin Williams. Here's a guy that at times is a black hole, especially last year, but that's really the evolution of his game, Tom, is his willingness to trust his teammates, especially in big-time situations, except for maybe the Bama game.
Yeah, and Calipari put it really well. That they just ran it through him. I mean, he dictated the offense. He took the most shots. He had the ball in his hands most often. And Eric Musselman describes him really as a natural two-guard who had to adapt to being a point. And those little slip screen plays that he ran with Trey Wade back-to-back early in the game, those were huge, tone setters for, okay, if your man's going to cheat off on me and trying to trap me, then I'll find the guy whose man left him. And Wade got 2 dunks out of it. And he has wraparound passes. He's got the whole repertoire. And he had 5 turnovers against Kentucky. But just what a great floor game for JD Notae. And he did it with such an audience that, SEC basketball is watching and the nation's watching. I think that probably solidified him a spot on the first-team All-SEC squad.
And probably so. Another guy that might be in that conversation is Jaylin Williams, who, he only had 16 points, 12 rebounds, fighting through some second-half illness. Talk about his performance a little bit. And then also Kamani Johnson, who comes in, only gives you 8 minutes, but it was 8 minutes you needed when Williams wasn't feeling his best.
He really did. They were good minutes, good physical minutes. I think he got to do a foul from Tshiebwe on a rebound. And by the way, side note here, I thought the officials called it, I don't know, people say like a tournament game, because there was a lot of banging, and this was both sides. So I'm not just harping on any particular bad calls, but there was so much contact, over the backs on rebounds, bumping, what have you. And it used to be my opinion that the SEC would play that way and then get in the NCAA tournament. And if you had officials calling a lot of contact, then your best players would wind up in foul trouble. But this dates back a while. They're like Glenn Big Baby Davis days at LSU, that kind of stuff. But you just got to be very careful if you run into a crew that's calling everything. Tshiebwe would have been in foul trouble in the first half. Very, very physical guy. But Williams had a massive game, and I thought it was funny. In the lead-up, the Kentucky players are talking about, and I think this was Kellen Grady, saying that, yeah, we're really good at shooting floaters. We know that he draws charges, but we shoot really good floaters. And then if we see the guy trying to do that, then we'll throw lob passes. Well, they didn't really get – I don't know if they got any lob dunks in that game. Maybe a couple of lob plays that they caught and put in, but very, very minimal on that. And he didn't draw a charge in the first half, but I think he got a couple in the second half because he just does what he does. And he just – when you think about his contributions, I think they're all SEC worthy. And just a phenomenal kid too.
But he's in a year where you've got Kessler, you got Deshibwe, you've got some great big men in the league. So he probably won't make that list as one of the forwards this year because of just how good this league is. And the one thing that Jaylen's been able to do, and again on Saturday was on display, is test himself against the best. Sometimes those opponents like Kessler and like Deshibwe on Saturday have big games. I think it also points out, hey, here's the things in Jaylen's game. While he's great at taking the charges, he's great at getting the blocks and some assists and the rebounds. There's some things with his offensive game that got to get tuned up before he's probably ready for professional basketball.
Yeah, agreed with that because he's got a decent mid-range game. I mean, he's got a decent jump shot, and teams are letting him shoot. Kentucky let him shoot those threes, and he wasn't on. And I would say this for him. I think he's a smart, he's got the sense of the game, like moments and things like that. But I think he overshot on Saturday a little bit. A lot of jumpers. Of course, when he's doing that, then you don't have your best rebounder down there unless he follows his shot. And I don't know. I just think he's just a perfect kind of a college player that loves what he's doing, a rah-rah kid, great attitude, and certainly hope he's back next year to refine some things.
Tom Murphy, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, Whole Hog Sports with us here on the Morning Rush. Tom, a couple of national things for you. MLB, players and owners reportedly still far apart after what's called a productive day yesterday. What's going to happen this season? Are they even going to play, or is it just going to be a much shorter season? I know we touched on it a little last week.
Yes, we did. And if you'll remember, I just look at the headlines. I do not care to know whose side's not giving and what's holding things up. But I did see a tweet last night from a guy, and I can't remember who it was, but it's somebody who's really in the loop in the game, and he doesn't cover it so much as he was. I think he's a former player. He wrote that the sides are much closer than what the media reports will have you to believe. And I can't remember. I think it's the luxury tax. He said is the final sticking point. So if they can get to the luxury tax number, this thing could come together quickly. And I'm for that. I'm for that, and then I'm for Freddie Freeman re-upping with the Braves. And if that happens, things will be pretty good in my universe. And I don't like the idea of missing a bunch of spring training or missing any games, but we could be on track for at least a partial loss of something.
Also, Dowell Loggins, Tom, not going to get hired at Kentucky. They hired some other OC. I don't remember his name. But how important was it for, at least now, for Arkansas to retain Dowell Loggins, the tight ends coach?
Well, yeah, super important. And I think Dowell's long game is to one day, be the head coach for the Razorbacks. And if you were here 1 year and then gone, that might not be a good look for wanting that job. And there's other guys out there, like I think Barry Lunny Jr. Tim Horton has wanted this job for a long time, and who knows, maybe one of those guys will be the right fit at the right time down the road. But I do think he'll need to be an offensive coordinator again, and he understands that before he can be a head coach. So I think it's just good to have him. He's done very well on the recruiting trail. They got some good tight ends coming in. And if Arkansas can have a similar offensive season to what they had last year, who knows where Kendall Briles is at that point. The time's getting very, very close for him to get his first head coaching position. I think Razorback fans were worried that the dominoes that were falling in Texas over the last offseason between, SMU, TCU, there were several, and then like even a Louisiana Tech, that could be the one, where people peg Kendall Briles. So Dowell's got a great relationship with the people here. He's a savvy dude, and I hope they have another good offensive season, and the tight ends are, more of a productive part of that in the catching game.
Before you go, let's touch on baseball quickly. Arkansas does win 2 of 3 over the weekend. They dropped the middle game in a doubleheader, the first of a doubleheader yesterday to Stanford. 2 top 10 teams, 5-0 Stanford in that ball game. Arkansas could not get the timely hits in that game, struggled at the plate early against their lefty Quinn Matthews, and then had bases loaded with no outs in the ninth and couldn't plate a run. They come back to beat Louisiana 6-4 in the nightcap. Just some thoughts from you over the weekend as Arkansas does pick up 2 of 3 again.
Yeah, and if I sound a little weary, it's because I was up well past midnight putting all that stuff to bed. There was a palpable sense of frustration because Jaylin Battle's 3-run homer in the 8th. That's the timely hit for this team on the season, if you ask me. If I did my numbers right, they hit 180 in Texas. They chased out of the zone against Matthews, and Dave Van Horn said they didn't do it all fall, didn't do it against their own pitching, and they're doing it now. So it starts with plate discipline, and then Matthews was just he was in the zone or in close to the zone so much that when they saw pitches that looked like they were close, they chased and they'd break outside. So I don't know. The veterans on the team need to steady the ship, and that means that Moore and Caden Wallace, Jaylin Battles have to keep hitting and then hoping the new guys. Lanzilli's done some work, and Zach Gregory had a good game yesterday too. So those veterans just keep doing what they do, and maybe the young guys will come along, because I think the team batting average is down in the 230s right now, and they have not gotten they haven't gotten a hit with the bases loaded. They're 0 for 10 with a couple of walks and some force outs at home plate, but not one sacrifice fly with the bases loaded, or just a high chopper on the infield where you just score the run. So just moving runners over and doing the fundamental things, I think, is step one for them, and then maybe the hitting will come along.
Omaha on Wednesday, Southeastern for 3 this weekend. We'll see if they can get those beer hats going and get runs across the plate this weekend. Tom, good stuff as always. We'll talk to you Thursday.
Outstanding. See y'all.
All right, Tom Murphy, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, with us every Monday and Thursday here on The Morning
Football might be over this season, but basketball is in full steam for both pros and college hoops. For all the latest odds, totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline is the #1 spot for all your sports betting needs. Head over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Use our promo code BELIEVE to get started. That's promo code BLEAV. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds, right to the Olympic coverage, is the best in the business. From sports right down to your favorite Vegas casino games, BetOnline is your #1 online wagering destination. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. BetOnline, where the game starts.